I was just trying to get away from the screen a little bit.
Oh, I'm not going to worry about that thing here. No. Do I need to go on there for audio feed or anything like that? Kia hatia, kia ora mai tātou katoa. Nei rā tō tātou whare te toi o tāmaki e tangi nei e mihi nei ki a koutou katoa. Kua ka tū mai ki tēnei whare o tātou. Nā ko nāno e koutou, kua tā mai nei mai tawhiti. O tira kia koe e whai Danella, kōrua tahi i ahu mai i te kauwhata i te ahi tonu nei, mōhio marika ahu ki tērā watana o ngā waka ki rungi te rori i tērā haora o te rā. Hoi no ka tai tonu kōrua i te wā kia timata ai tēnei huinga o tātou. Nō re kei te mihi kia kōrua, i runga no te mōhio kei muri i a kōrua ko Ngāti Pāoa. Whānui. Nō re ngā mihi nui kia kōrua. Koa iau e mihi nei kia kōrua o tira kia koutou. Ara, he Ngāti Whātua ki Wanganui i a tātou ka tikara kia mihi a koutou. Hoi no koriro māku te honore mai te whānau o Ngāti Whātua kia mihi a tuatahitia koutou katoa e te whānau. Nō reira e koutou, nau mai, haere mai, whakatau mai rā. Hara mai rā ki tēnei kaupapa, ki tēnei whakamārama o te whakāturanga ki te whakaeke mai tātou hei te timatanga o haki hea. I runga no te mōhio i tēnei wā tonu ko ngā tini aitua, i runga i tēnā o tātou, ko Rudy Taylor tētahi, katahi anō ka huri tuara mai, nō reira ko tērā o ngā whānau, haere tērā o ngā karaua o hokianga, o Ngāpuhi. Haere atu rā, mā te wharetaku o Ngāpuhi, hoka parerau ki tērā o ngā mātārai, o ngā kūrai, arā ko te kapu wairua, hoka parerau, kia rātou e tauwhanga mai ana. Nō reira, e koro o tira, e koutou katoa, haere atu rā, moe mai rā oki ai. Apati hono, tātai hono, rātou tungumate kia rātou, apati hono, tātai hono, tātou tungora kia tātou. Nō reira, ko ai au, taku pāpā, nō Ngāpuhi, nō te parawhau, nō te māhurihuri ki whatetiri, nō te uriroroi. Taku māma, nō koutou anu, nō te kauwhata, ko tani whate marae. I te hatarei tonu nei, i te wekini, hoa ke mātou katoa taku whānau ki taupiri, ki te urupa, ki te whakatika, ki te whakapaipai i ngā kōwhatu ki kona. He rā a tāhua tērā. Iwa haora mātou e mahi nei ngā mahi. Hoi no rā, e mōhio marika a hau i tērā huarahi e whakawhiti ane Wanganui a tāua, arā ko taniwha, ko te kauwhata, arā ko rangiriri tēnā. Tātu rā ki tērā ka ki pātara, ki papakura, ka ki pātara, ki takanini, hoi no ka taitonu kōrua, ki konei, ki te ngāhere kohatu o tāmaki. Arha kua tāmaki makaurau e kia nei hoi no ko tāmaki motokarau ki etahi atu. Nō reira e te whānau nau mai haere mai. Kei kia, no konei hoi no ka tikaranga mihi nui kia kōrua. Nei rā, oku hapu mihi nei kia koutou te uringutu, te tāu, ngā oho, tēnā koutou. I runga no i ngā pāna ki Wanganui a tāo i ngā wā o te puru o tāmaki e hewa, mōhio pai au ki tērā o ngā hakanaua no i tito, arā mo tō tātou reo, te haumaru, te whakaora o tō tātou reo. Nō reira e rā kōru katoa e rere tonu ana i roto i te whatumana o i tēnei wā tonu. Nō reira kei te mihi ki a koe, Joe. Tātu rā ki a koe e taku whanaunga Thomas. I runga no i tērā āhuatanga ki runga i a koe i tēnei wā kia kaha, kia maia, kia manua nui ki a koe me tō whana. Nō reira, kua hau tēnei e mihi nei hei waha mō tēnei rōpu arā ko haere wā. Kua riro māku tēnei honore. Nō reira, mai te whānau nei o Haerewa, a kia koutou katoa, nau mai ara mai whakatau mai rā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I feel like I should be just giving this across to Fire. To e whakamārama ki a tātou te hononga o Haerewa ki te whare toi nei, te hononga o Haerewa ki a Ngāti Whātua, te hononga o Haerewa ki tēnei kaupapa. I tērā ko ka tuku ia i etahi kōrero tai pito hei whakamārama mo te yahi nei. So Fire sent through some bullet points of what to talk about to myself and Matua Hari. And you know, come in here this afternoon, it's like, oh, Matua Hari, he's literally the first one. And he's first on, but then he gave his apology, so kōrero māku. But as we can do in these times, ka hoa tu te tiripau ki tō tātou kōka. Kia hai, nā te mea i te ngahuru tau iwa tekau, ara 1995, hore kau he reo Māori ki roto i te whare toine. Ko ia, me tana riri, i whawhai i ngā whānau o tērā wā, o konei, kia whakatūngia tētahi tūranga hau, tūranga Māori motuhake mō te gallery. Nā wai rā, 1997, ka tū mai tētahi atu tūranga motuhake, ara ko te Māori curator tērā. Ara, ka puta ko Nigel. Hoi no, era atu kōrero e pāna ko mo te toi o tāmaki, nā wai i manaai, nā Ngāti Whātua anō. Hoi no, mana e whakamārama tēnā kōrero ki a koutou. So I'm going to invite Fire to talk about Haerewa and the providence of Haerewa and the significance of all of us coming together. Kia ora tātai.
Kia ora.
And then we'll do a waiata.
Inga mana, inga reo rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I was trying to get out of this, you see, and so I when I was on Te Waka Toi, and when I was in the Education Review Office, I always had talking chiefs. Very good idea, except they kind of turn it back on you occasionally, and here I am. So thank you for that introduction, Valence, and Valence was a talking chief for tonight, and I did email him last night, and I said 3 to 6 minutes probably, and it won't work out that way, and I wonder whether Hare is lingering now, because he's not a 3-minute to 6-minute speaker, as you know, and he's like Doc, you know. He and gives us all blessings, but it takes a long time. So in 1995, we had a group here that was a council group called the Enterprise Board. It was 1994 actually, and they asked me to be a member, and I said yes, because I was on. That was the year I started with Te Waka Toi, and I was saying yes to everything then. And so then I realised after a few months that I was being asked to speak about everything to do with Māori. And I really didn't resent it, but it wasn't right for me. So I got all my friends who were art people and writers and art critics and knew about our culture, and I formed a group, and that was Haerewa. And Ngā Huia Te Awa Kōtuku was on that group in the beginning, and when we looked for a name, she said, think about Haerewa. It is the first cut of the tattooing blade, the ohi, and it seems to be a name that suits our group. So I went to Hugh and Frida, Hugh Kāwharu, and said, what do you think about this for a name for our group? He said, yeah. Frida said yes. And then I went back a few months later and said, what do you think about Toi Ora as the name for the art gallery? And they both said yes. So we kind of started our journey together with Hugh and Frida listening and guiding and talking as we went. And we've been going on for 25 years. And it's been wonderful. There have been symposiums and exhibitions and all manner of things. We've travelled with the Linda Māori portraits and talked about our culture in different countries, in Germany and Czechoslovakia and in San Francisco. And we've had this kind of link with Ngāti Whātua. And it's been great because we had a kaumātua was in charge of haerewa, and the first one was Arnold Wilson, and you'll know him. And then when he passed away, Patu Hohepa took it over, and Patu would talk to Danny, and things would happen, so that we were in really a really safe place the whole time. And we were asked advice about all manner of things, and we gave that advice. So that's what we've been doing for all these years, and it's a wonderful position to be in. It's a real privilege. And as people say they want to resign, but they can't get out of it because I won't let them. There's some of that autocratic Ngāti Porou side of me that says stay with us because you belong in this group, because they're people who went to Elam and Ilam and trained as artists and make art and talk about art and talk about Māori art and know the history of it, which is why this exhibition is so important to us, because for years we've been saying everybody gets a big shot at big exhibitions and not us. So it's finally happening. And the people who were in Haerewa belonged to that early part of our history. And I guess I'm part of that as well. So it's right in the beginning. So I was at Elam in 1962, I think I started. And somebody just said tonight, God, that's when I was born. That's true too. And this exhibition has in its beginning all the people who were my contemporaries, which is a wonderful thrill for us. I think we're probably ready for a waiata. I'm sure I've gone over the 6 minutes. Okay, Valence, thank you. Kia ora.
Ko Dandenong te Mauna, ko Bas te Moana, ko Poi Piripi te Whenua, ko te Papaka a Maui te Motu, ko Kirsten Paisley tako ingoa. Nau mai haere mai ki te Auckland Art Gallery, Toi Tamaki, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you, Valence and Elizabeth, for your history lesson and for all the work you've done over such a long period of time with the gallery. We've made huge strides under your leadership and stewardship of Haerewa, and you continue with us today. We're very grateful. Also in the exhibition, Elizabeth, so we get to celebrate you as well, and your art practice. This exhibition, I'm not going to talk a lot about it because Nigel is going to tell you and share with you that story. But I did just want to reflect that this exhibition, it was always going to be a catalyst for institutional change and growth. And into that space, we have a lot to learn as we move forward. And as we go through on that journey, we stumble and we correct ourselves and we keep moving together. You know, with Hairua, with our Māori staff, with our Pākehā staff, with Ngāti Whātua, and with all the mana whenua in Auckland that believe in Māori art and that Māori art should be celebrated, seen, known, heard here in this beautiful gallery. I've thrown down the gauntlet to all staff and said that with this exhibition, the gallery is bilingual going forward. And that's really part of us reframing ourselves and stepping forward bravely into the embrace of Te Reo and what it means here and how important that language is to how we understand our future as a gallery and an institution. And I spent a little bit of time with the CE of the Māori Language Commission on Friday to ask some advice. Also some time with Te Kurakai and others around this question of language, because to date what that's meant is translating from English into Reo. And as we move forward then, we've got all these new questions around actually how do we understand more deeply Te Reo into English as an institution? Because as we know, the concepts within Te Reo Māori don't translate perfectly at all. In fact, the concepts require many more words for unpacking in English than they do in Te Reo Māori. And yet these concepts are critical to how we define ourselves as a cultural institution here as we move forward in our biculturalism. So look, we've got lots of challenges ahead as an institution, and we've come a long way, not just in 25 years of Hairua, but in the 115 before that as well. Toi Tū Toi Ora is the largest exhibition in the gallery's history, and Nigel, you have had complete creative control of that project. It is your vision and your creative direction that has been brought to bear on every single detail associated with this exhibition, and you stand supported by 150 staff who hold you, admire you, and are very, very proud of what we're achieving together. And that achievement is in the context of COVID, which is just extraordinary that we could pull this off, and we have. We're about to, and we're about to share it with the community. Not only is it at scale in the number of artists, 111 artists and 300 artworks, but 9 major new commissions that are in and of themselves architecturally scaled, all produced during lockdown over the last 8 months. Incredible work. We've acquired, I think, over $1.5 million in Māori art into the collection. We've raised, I think, Sue, $3.5 million in total to make this exhibition happen. And as a result of your support, we've been able to create 13 new Māori designated roles in the organisation. And that is from one designated Māori role in the organisation. So we have a huge shift to feel proud, excited and honoured by. And I just feel very blessed that you're with us at this moment, and I really hope you feel confident sharing this exhibition with your whānau. I wanted to share with you the positions that we're advertising at the moment. It's a Māori program producer who's going to be dedicated to the development and delivery of Māori audience-centred public programming. Our new Toi Tū Toi Ora Māori coordinator, who's going to play a key role in all of the ceremonial and programmatic aspects of ushering audiences into the gallery, but specifically Māori audiences, a point of contact for tours, visits and other special experiences we hope to create. 11 Toi Tū Toi Ora ka arahi, have I pronounced? Karahi, yeah, you know what that means. Part of our gallery front of house team who will be delivering visitor experiences for Māori and, in fact, very culturally diverse audiences. We want this exhibition to be for everybody. So I'm going to invite Nigel now to share an insight into the exhibition, and he might even let us have a look at some real artworks when he's finished his talk. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, ngā kui mā ngā koromārau rangatira mā, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Ko Nigel Barella hau, no tauranga moana au, ko Ngaitarangi Ngāti Rangi Nui i te whakatohia o Kiwi. No reira, tēnā rā koutou katoa. It's a pleasure to have you here in our company. Mana whenua, Ngāti Paua, Ngāti Whātua ki Orake, ngā mihi. I think Kirsten's really summed up the moment quite well. You know, this has been a long time in the planning and in the thinking and in the shaping, and it's really exciting to be at this stage and to be on the precipice of sharing it with the public at large. It's very exciting. Some would say long overdue, but at the same time, a moment that we're all going to remember for a long time, myself included. And in my role as the curator of Māori Art at the Auckland Art Gallery, it's a real honour to be able to be spearheading and shaping and sharing a vision of contemporary Māori art through this exhibition for us all to celebrate, to be part of, and hopefully to see ourselves reflected within. And you know, we've had the fortunate ability to have a Māori intern and a assistant curator Māori alongside me for a whole year, which is quite a privilege for any institution where usually you're the one lone voice flying the banner and upholding those very important or honouring that role of contemporary Māori art in an institution. And like we've heard, without Hairewa's support, their resolve and their focus, we wouldn't be where we are today as an institution. So it's very much a group effort. Toi Tū Toi Ora is the name of our exhibition. It's a survey show of contemporary Māori art. It's been 20 years since the last survey show nationally, and it's been 20 years also since our institutions revisited the importance of contemporary Māori art through a survey exhibition. So it is quite timely and it is quite important. We are showcasing the work of 112 contemporary Māori artists. I think we said 111. I think we've settled on 111 as of this afternoon. And over 300 artworks from these artists will be on display in this exhibition. They really do span 7 decades of contemporary Māori art, starting with its beginnings in the 1950s with our first graduates that came out of art school in Arnold Manaki Wilson, Katarina Mataira, Selwyn Wilson, and so forth. You know, they were the trailblazers that really took an amazing stride and created a new expression that we call contemporary Māori art today. And we track right through to present day with what artists present and express as part of their contemporary Māori culture and as part of that vision for contemporary Māori art is presented within the show. And as we've heard, it's the largest single exhibition in the art gallery's history of 133 years, and why not it be Māori art? So that's something for us all to be proud of. And when thinking about a survey show of contemporary Māori art, you know, I wanted to present a show this time round which told that story differently and that put a Māori lens and a mātauranga Māori view on the world as the first and foremost aspect with how you engage with the survey of contemporary Māori art and the story of contemporary Māori art. So the one thing that contemporary Māori artists over those 7 decades have in common is our beliefs in how we've come to be in the world. So the Māori creation narrative became the backbone, if you like, and the thing that we all have in common as Māori that locate us in the world, but also explain our existence within the universe, within the cosmos, within the landscape. And so this is how we arrived upon the I suppose the theoretical backbone and the shaping, the framework for the show. So we take people through the creation narrative with Te Kore, the great void, the great nothingness, into Te Po, the great darkness, the long night, and then we traverse into Te Ao Marama, the world of light and life, and then the space of Ira Tangata, the space of humankind. So in a nutshell, we can tell a Māori paradigm, a Māori worldview in a very succinct way in this framing, but also in this beautiful presentation of their work in the show. We traverse those big philosophical ideas about being and nothingness that we know exist in our narratives to do with Te Kore. And then we shift into Te Po, the great night, the long night. And we look at that idea of transformation. We look at the stirring of movement in darkness and that play of shadow and light in casting form. So the ideas of form starting to take shape. And artists that look at those ideas in their work, such as Israel Birch and his Arai Te Uru, which talks about that transforming from one state of being into another. This beautiful work called Te Wai o Te Marama by Maureen Lander, which uses light to play with the fibres of her practice, her installation practice, which look and pay tribute to the moon. We have the Ripeka series by Robert Yonke, which literally looks at Te Kore, Te Po, Te Ao Marama, and that transition into being. Which brings us into the separation of Rangi Nui and Papatuanuku in the third space. So that amazing large work by Lisa Reihana called Ihi is on display in that room, which again very simply and eloquently tells the story of the separation of Rangi Nui and Papatuanuku. And in a nutshell, our stories and our worldviews play out for the world to see and to be enlightened by. And of course, we arrive in the first lit space in the show, which is Te Ao Marama, the world of light and life, where we look at the role of Tāne and we pay tribute to Tāne and to his many feats and his gifts, and told through the works of artists across generations. So Tāne Mahuta, this beautiful, simple piece of polished timber by Arnold Manaki Wilson, sits in pride of place next to Robin Kahukiwa's Hene Titama work, which pays tribute to the first woman, which sits next to this very contemporary work by Saffron Te Rātana, Hemi McGregor and Ngātai Taiapa, created in 2008, called Tū Te Manu Ora I Te Rangi, which talks about the star god Rehua meeting Tāne for the first time, and Rehua unfolding his top knot and giving him the tui as a gift to take back to the human realm, which Tāne does. So all these narratives that are richly part of our cultural heritage are told in beautiful visual ways through not just the work of artists, but their inspiration, and their inspiration across the decades. So without actually pointing to them, we show this idea of Māori art and Māori culture being this connected, interwoven universe of ideas told through these artists. And then we come to the level 1 spaces, which look at the human story, the realm of ira tangata, and we pay tribute to Maui as the ultimate provocator, but the reason why we are mortal today. So if we're doing our job right, we're traversing all those stories that we've grown up with, or that we know innately and in great detail, but we get to share them and share them with the world and the public at large in this generous way where we tell our stories, but we also celebrate our art practices. As Kirsten mentioned, we have 9 amazing site-specific commissions which we're really excited about and been working very hard over this past year to achieve. And I do agree with Kirsten, it's quite amazing this year with the challenges that we've had with lockdown and with the challenges of working from home. A lot of these artists are tackling the largest commission of their career, and they're doing it in lockdown and in circumstances whereby they can't necessarily get the materials they need and the time they need. Nonetheless, they've arrived and achieved some great things, meeting those deadlines. And at this very moment, we're in the middle of installing amazing work such as this, which is Atapo, a collaborative work by Mataaho Collective and Maureen Lander. And they're paying tribute to Hene Nui Te Pō in our narratives. And this will be told in the lower grey gallery, so also echoing the architecture of the meeting house. And finally, next year you will see an amazing new commission on the forecourt pool by Reuben Patterson, which is a waka, a chandelier crystal waka, which will be suspended above the pool, which again looks at that idea of rangi nui and papatuanuku, and the waka being not just a vessel for transporting us across the motu, but across time as well. So that idea of traversing different states of being is what Reuben is going to be exploring in this new work. Just to touch on that, one of the amazing and proud moments for us at the gallery is the trialling of Te Reo Māori tours last year, which we did with our education team, run and spearheaded by Jasmine Tahira. And it was hugely successful, really well oversubscribed with our kura kaupapa, and that it will be again a key part of our education program this year. And really excited that we can actually not just have bilingual interpretation, but actually engage with kura on the floor with the exhibition that we're presenting. And just lastly, Kirsten's quite right to say that it takes the whole gallery to produce a show of this standing and of this magnitude. And we've definitely, this is through COVID, it's been a real reset in terms of our focus as an institution and our movements going forward. So it's really exciting to be working on one project across the gallery with all the different teams and all the various departments working on one project together. It's ironically, it seldom happens in institutions, but this moment in time has allowed this to take place. And I suppose when you're doing the largest show in the history of your institution, you probably do need all your staff working on it. That's made my job quite easy, to be honest, and it's been one that I've been really proud to work with everybody on day in, day out. And also just acknowledging Hairua's support, from go to woe, and everyone's support really, and there's a little bit of trial and error that goes on when you do a big project like this, and I've been fortunate enough to have people that I've been able to lean on to get their advice, to fine tune the approach, but also just to maintain the course, and really excited that we're at this stage where we're about to launch it and share it with the public. Okay, I think that's me. Gunga.